you've ever thought that your vacuum could do a better job at sucking, then this video is for you. Oftentimes it's not your vacuum, but it could be the way that you're using it. So today I'm sharing with you 10 game-changing tips that will make your vacuum more effective and save you a ton of time. And did you know with proper care, your vacuum could last up to 10 years? Oh my word. I can actually attest to that. My former vacuum lasted me a long time. However, I did break the handle off, so I should probably lay off the gym. Just kidding. The vacuum truly did still work. It's just the handle that was broken. Make sure that you stay until the end because I have 2 bonus tips. One that's gonna make your house smell so good. Who knew a vacuum could make your house smell like, well, glorious. Tip number 1, adjust your height setting as needed. Now every vacuum is a little bit different, but if your height setting is too high, well, things aren't gonna get sucked up properly. Make sure that you check with your individual vacuum, but most of the time if your vacuum's too high, it's not gonna get deep in those fibers of your carpeting. However, I do have a trick for you coming up that will solve that issue. And if it's too low, it can damage your carpeting, your flooring, and we don't want that. You want the perfect adjustment so that your vacuum can glide smoothly and do everything that it's capable of doing. In fact, if you find that your brush head is way too low, it may not be able to spin properly. That is often a cause of, well, non-sucky vacuums. Most vacuums have a carpet mode and a floor mode. When it's in the carpet mode, the brush sits a little bit lower to the floor so that it can really get in those carpet fibers. But when it's on the floor mode, it's just a little bit higher so as not to damage your flooring. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but if you have your vacuum in carpet mode, but you have it on, let's say, hardwood flooring, I often find that all the crumbs and debris just get shot around my kitchen, not actually sucked up. So make sure that you're using the right mode on your vacuum. And fun fact, if you have a Shark vacuum, you can actually increase or decrease the amount of suction. I like a lot of suckiness. If you're new here, I have 4 little kids, so there's a lot of crumbs and debris and grass and rocks and random things brought into my house on a daily basis. The suckier, the better. Tip number 2, empty your dustbin on a regular basis. Now, how often should you empty that dustbin, Andrea Jean? Well, don't wait till it's overflowing. It's not like your washing machine where oftentimes we try to jam so much in there so we can get as many clothes as possible in one load. No, 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 no. You want some airflow within your dustbin, so I recommend emptying it when it's about halfway full. And for me, I can do our upstairs, our main floor, and our basement, and it'll be about half full. I vacuum every single week and this first floor almost every single day, and I am appalled by how much crap gets sucked up and intertwined within the carpeting. It's maddening. It's disgusting. Like, what is all this? So make sure you're emptying that dustbin on a regular basis to make sure that your vacuum is in tip-top working order. Tip number 3, clean or replace your filters as often as needed. If you have a HEPA filter, you want to make sure that you rinse that at least once a year, but check it periodically to see if there's any excess buildup on it. When it comes to your pre-motor filters, you want to make sure that you're rinsing those out every 3 months or so, and sometimes rinsing's not really doing the job and it's just time to replace them altogether. Now, every vacuum is just a little bit different when it comes to how often you should be changing those filters, so make sure you check with your specific vacuum. Also, if you have a lot of kids, a lot of traction in your house, you have the windows open on a regular basis, there's just more dust accumulation within your house, you may want to clean those filters just a little bit more frequently. And here's a pro tip, when it comes to washing those filters, I highly recommend that you just use cold water. Never use hot water to clean your filters. Tip number 4, make sure that you are using the right attachments on your vacuum. Have you ever used the attachments on your vacuum? I know growing up and even when I was in college and probably into my 20s, I never used the attachments. I just thought there were these fancy things that came with the vacuum that were just sitting on it. Like, there's a purpose and a reason for those attachments and specific spot slots for them. Who would have thought? And if you haven't used your vacuum attachments in quite some time, give them a spin. You will be amazed at how handy they can become. Sometimes you can often clean your blinds, deep in corners, different crevices and nooks and crannies. Work smarter, not harder. And tip number 5, you may be vacuuming too quickly. I can definitely relate to this when I got things to do. I don't want to spend all day vacuuming, so oftentimes I'm like, it's a race, right? No, 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 no. Slow and steady passes, much like the way you would mop your floors. The slower you go, the more suction that you can get across your flooring. I know, not the best news that you want to hear, but slower is better when it comes to vacuuming. Tip number 6, stains and smells when it comes to your carpeting. If you have any stains on your carpeting, make sure that you pre-treat them, and also depending on the type of stain, you may need to repeat that stain removal process a couple of times. But the sooner that you notice a stain on your carpeting, the better. And if you find that your carpeting tends to be a little bit smellier, especially if you have pets or there's cigarette smoke in your home, I recommend putting down some baking soda on your carpeting and letting it sit for about 15-20 minutes so that the baking soda can truly absorb those odors, much like you would use baking soda within your refrigerator. And if you've been here a hot minute, you know that I absolutely hate carpeting. If it were up to me at this point, I would rip it all out within my house because I think carpeting is so disgusting. I know it can be soft and cozy, but like just the things stuck in the carpeting and the carpet pad and just the But I digress. So pre-treat those stains as soon as you notice them and give your carpeting a little baking soda bath as needed. Tip number 7, maintain that brush roll. When was the last time that you flipped over your vacuum to see if there's any hair or string or random things around your house like yarn caught up in there? If that brush roll cannot roll properly, well, your vacuum is not going to suck up as well as it could. And fun fact, many vacuums actually have a self-cleaning brush option. I know that my vacuum does. I almost never ever find hair tangled within it, which is one of the reasons that I bought this particular vacuum. So if your vacuum does not have that self-cleaning option, make sure that you just flip it over from time to time. I have this fun little tool that I'll often use when it comes to the handheld portion because that does collect a lot of hair and debris and things. And you'll notice if you have pet hair or human hair intertwined in there, that brush roller is not going to move as well as it should. And here's something fun to check on your brush roller. See if there's a little line, a little indent. That line is designed so that you can get underneath and get that hair out more quickly. I know, genius. Tip number 8, check for any blockages. Oftentimes, lint and debris can get trapped in the hose. So if you're finding that your vacuum is not sucking up as well as it should, just detach the parts and look inside that hose to see if anything could be caught in there. I know this often happens on my vacuum when I use it to clean out the lint trap in my dryer. And by the way, if you don't own one of these lint sucker tools or devices, I highly recommend it. This is a #1 bestseller. This is not sponsored, but it's going to make your life so much easier. You're going to save money. You're going to reduce the risk of fire hazards within your home. Like, it's just, get it. Tip number 9, if you are using a bagged vacuum, make sure that you're changing that vacuum on a regular basis. My rule of thumb is to change it when it is half full. Don't let that thing collect all kinds of debris, dust, and disgustingness from your carpeting and your floors until it's just like bursting at the seams. Again, it's not going to work as effectively because there is almost no airflow. We want to keep that suction strong. Tip number 10, vacuum in both directions. Now, I do not do this every single time that I vacuum because I am on a time crunch when it comes to cleaning my house. However, I do like to do it every couple months or so. You'll notice that when you start to vacuum in opposite directions, you're able to accumulate a lot more disgustingness wrapped up within those carpet fibers. So I have a little challenge for you. I want you to vacuum your carpet as you normally would, doing one direction, which is what we typically do to get those nice vacuum lines. But then the following week, I want you to vacuum twice, one in this direction and one in the opposite direction, and see if you're able to accumulate a little bit more dirt. Disgusting, but satisfying, knowing that it's no longer within your carpet and you're not stepping on it, tracking around your house, turning your white socks brown. 2 bonus tips for you. Did you know when it comes to the cord, there's a little switch that you can flip so that you can get that cord off faster rather than having to individually wind every piece of that cord to get its full extension? Just flip that little nozzle, pull the cord off, and you are ready to go. Those couple seconds every time you vacuum add up and save you a ton of time over the long run. Number 2, every couple months or so, I like to put a little essential oil or a little bit of your favorite oil on your vacuum filter. You will notice that every time you vacuum, it's gonna make your house smell so good. Whether it's fresh linen, a little peppermint, ooh, that'd be great around the holidays, a little eucalyptus, a little, I don't know what else would smell delicious. I'm a clean linen girl all the way, but I do certainly appreciate some lavender. This actually encourages me to vacuum more because it smells so lovely and for several hours after I have vacuumed. My husband will be like, oh, did you clean the house today? And I'm like, no, but just vacuumed. That's it. Let me know your favorite tip in that comments box below. And if we're not friends on Instagram at Andrea Jean Cleaning, make sure that you are following me, especially on Instagram stories, because I share sneak peeks, #1 bestsellers, daily deals, giveaways, so much more behind the scenes. Possibilities are endless. And we have got to keep the fun going. So click this video on screen now, thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you, my friend, in the next one.